What's up guys? Today I'm going to be introducing the most consistent auto fleet that I've found so far for QE meta. Since the goal is consistency, I won't be using Raider Scan as well as any other percent chance-based activation skills. The Vanguard is also chosen so that it won't sink, and at the same time helps to increase the overall consistency of the fleet. The first ship is Musashi. You might have noticed that I have finally upgraded the 460mm to +13, and there are a couple of reasons for this. First, I have so many gunplates that after upgrading this to +13, as well as upgrading the upcoming MK7 that we're getting from the New Jersey rerun to +13, I'll still have some plates left over for another rainbow gun. The rate at which we get new equipments these days is just too slow to matter much. The second reason is that whether deliberately or not, the last 3 meta fights have all had really good timings for this gun. Fleets have also gotten strong enough that Helena isn't needed anymore to one-shot all of the bosses in the game, which further makes this gun a bit more valuable than before. I wouldn't be surprised if, starting from the next meta fight, this gun becomes useless, but at this point I won't be too salty about it since there aren't many guns left to upgrade anyway. Alright, moving on from the main gun. There isn't anything special about the rest of Musashi's equipments. We're bringing Stag for the accuracy because for once the meta boss actually has some significant evasion. Next up is Vanguard, who I'm using the 457 on. She has a bit more accuracy when compared to Musashi, so I brought an anti-air gun that gives FP instead of a Stag. The auxiliaries allow her to fire every 15 seconds in order to take advantage of Helena meta's debuffs. The timings also line up quite nicely with Musashi's second and third salvos. Next up is Renowned Meta, who I'm using mostly to clear out the knights. Next, we're moving on to the Vanguards. In the tank position, I'm using A-Gear, and with her as the tank, the fleet pretty much never dies. This specific Torp and Aux setup allows her to apply her slow for the last Musashi salvo. You can make some slight improvements to her equipment by using the Breast gun, which has slightly better DPS than the Kronstadt gun, but it won't make a huge difference due to its worse ballistics and higher reload. You can also replace the Greysword AUG with a Lance for the accuracy, because there's about a 20% chance of her Torp getting accuracy checked by the boss, and then the slow won't be applied. I just happen to have neither a +13 breast gun or a lance, so I just went with what I have. Next is Helena Meta, who I'm using mostly to clean up the knights in case Renown fails to wipe them completely. Her damage is also pretty good with the bonus damage that meta ships get in this fight. Vanguard pressure is not as high this time as with previous metas, so you can get away with damage auxiliaries on your non-tank Vanguards. And the last ship in the fleet is Plymouth, who is also rolling with 2 damage auxiliaries, and gives the fleet the highest consistent damage increase out of all the ships you can put in the final slot. Now I'll show the fleet in action, as I continue to talk about some possible substitutions you can make to the fleet. I have 1 full run here, and also the endings of 10 more, and within the 11 runs, 2 of them managed to one-shot the boss, and none of them wiped or did less than 85 bars. Okay, as for substitutions go, there isn't really one for Musashi. You're probably better off using a carrier fleet in that case, but the +13 upgrade on the 460mm is not necessary. I would only recommend doing it if you have plates to spare, but even with the +10, this exact same fleet comp can still one-shot the boss if you're lucky. In the place of Vanguard, you can probably try using New Jersey, or Shinano, but you would have to try to slow down her airstrike as much as possible. In the place of Renowned Meta, I believe most meta backliners can actually clear out the knights pretty consistently. Renown just happens to be my favorite and the only one I have at level 125. So you should just choose your favorite and uncap them to level 125 if you want. If you decide to use a carrier, you could probably get away with not using Helena Meta in the Vanguard, but she's a good choice in the Vanguard regardless. In the place of A-Gear, you can use another battlecruiser, or Anchorage, or maybe even Drake, but the total damage won't be as consistent. You can also forego using a tank altogether and tank with Plymouth, and then use 1 more DPS ship like Shimakaze, which is exactly the fleet I used in my second most recent video, but your Vanguard might sink with Plymouth being your tank. If you're missing some upgrades or levels on your ships, you can try replacing Helena Meta with the regular Helena. The consistency will suffer, but it might be able to raise your average damage. Anyways, that's pretty much going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.
勝利に浮かれてはならないわ。 時は来たれり。技名
見つけたわ
は
よ。
恥ずかしいからやっぱりなし。
見つけたわよ。
あら、見破られたわね。時は来たれり。技名は恥ずかしいからやっぱりなし。油断はしません。時は来たれり。技名は恥ずかしいからやっぱりなし。
見つけたわよ。
時は来たれり。技名は恥ずかしいからやっぱりな
見
し。
つけたわよ。見つけたわよ。
見破られたわね。時は来たれり。技名は恥ずかしいからやっぱりなし。
見つけたわよ。見つけたわよ。
時は来たれり。技名は恥ずかしいからやっぱりなし。
見つけたわよ。見つけたわよ。
時は来たれり。技名は恥ずかしいからやっぱりな
見
し。
つけたわよ。見つけたわよ。
時は来たれり。技名は恥ずかしいからやっぱりな
見
し。
つけたわよ。見つけたわよ。
時は来たれり。技名は恥ずかしいからやっぱりなし。
見つけたわよ。見つけたわよ。
時は来たれり。
見つけたわよ。
技名は恥ずかしいからやっぱりなし。
見つけたわよ。